that number to pop up. There we go. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Hope you are doing well. For those I have not met yet, my name is Lori. I am a business success and personal brand coach who helps aspiring digital nomads and remote-based entrepreneurs to build and scale profitable remote-based businesses that give them the security and freedom of time and location they've been looking for, allowing them to leave that 9-to-5 life in the rear view for good. And today I am joined by Tyreen Taylor. And Tyreen is the owner of Wise Walk Virtual Solutions. And my apologies, I realized I just put it in the description wrong. So it's Wise Walk, not Wise Talk, guys. Virtual Solutions, a company that specializes in matching companies, business owners, and executives with qualified virtual assistants. Tyreen also has an uplifting and motivating podcast where she helps listeners take the limits off their thinking. Tyreen is the author of an interactive gratitude workbook that helps readers live a more grateful life. And she is a child of God that lives her life in faith. Welcome, Tyreen. You have accomplished quite a bit, it sounds like. So start off just before we jump into conversation, just kind of tell us a little bit more about yourself and your story and what brought you into this type of work.
Sure. Well, thank you for having me. But first, I always tell people when they ask, I always say, I honestly was kind of pushed into this. And I say that because I was working in the federal government. Life was going well, no problems, climbing a ladder, just really enjoying my life. And a medical injury happened where I had to resign from the federal government. And at that point, I was lost. I didn't have a plan, didn't know what to do, didn't know how to make money because what I can do was very limited because of the injury that happened. So I really just kind of sat for months until I got the idea to reach out to one of my old boss and just ask, can I do some things virtually that I used to do for you in the site? And this was before COVID. So he was, kind of skeptical, like, how will I know you're getting it done? Things like that. And I'm like, I don't really know that part either, but let's just try it, So he finally said yes. And that was honestly how it got started. And then I was the VA, then worked my way up to become an EA, which is just an executive assistant. And then from there, I realized, wow, like this is a really cool process. Like I'm really helping my clients. More clients kept coming. And I'm like, I can't take on anymore. So I said, let me try to create a team. And that's what I did. I started with one VA. I matched her and it was a success. So I did a second. Then I said, okay, if I do a third and it works, then I know this could be a business. Did a third, that one was a success as well. And then that's when I changed my whole business model to actually an agency type of, matchmaker. So matching them together.
Love it.
And that's how I got here today. So it's crazy how it happened, but that is how it started.
And it is so inspirational too, and I know we have a lot of VAs actually in our audience. So especially for those that are VAs, but just entrepreneurs in general, to show that, how quickly we can scale our businesses from somewhere where we had no idea we could even go. And like you, I got into the virtual world before COVID, but especially now, during post wherever we technically are now, during COVID, that the whole world has really opened up. So it's like probably the best time in the world to become a virtual assistant and to start that type of a business. So that's awesome. And I imagine that you're probably a lot happier having more freedom than you were working for the federal government anyway now.
Yes, I am, but I'm still like, wow, like I enjoy what I did, in the government. I know some people, when they work the 9-to-5, they don't really get pleasure or really enjoy it, but I did, so it definitely was a huge bummer. It was definitely a huge life-changing moment when I had to make that decision. But I believe nothing happens, everything happens for a reason. And I'm just kind of just going with life, like where it takes me, kind of just going along.
Love it. So I think this is a good segue really into our conversation, which is a bit around, having that belief that the only limitation, or having those limiting beliefs that hold us back, and from this success. Like, had you allowed yourself to be stuck in that, who knows where you would have ended up, right?
Mhm.
But like you said, you reached out and you're just like, I don't know how this is going to work, but can we give it a try? So let's talk a little bit about those limiting beliefs, and just kind of start from there.
Yes. So when I first resigned, like I said, it took me months, to come up with this idea or to even get the courage to reach out to ask, because I had that limited mindset of, well, I'm not working there anymore, so I don't really know what I'm going to do. I'll just, stay home and pretty much do nothing. And that grew old really quickly because the bills won't stop, even if you have an injury, and life doesn't stop. So I really just kind of had to go into myself, as a person,
Mm-hmm.
and just think of, I put out my resume and I'm like, what skills do I have that, I could do something from home? Because back then that was before COVID. So VA, that wasn't even really a real
Really,
thing. And
okay.
when I first started, I didn't even call myself a VA. I'm just, hey, I'm doing work from home. I'm helping out, a company,
Yeah.
and I get a little bit of money. I get a little bit of money there. And that was it. And then when I realized, like, what I've learned about limiting beliefs is when you take that first step, that's kind of what just put gasoline on the fire. It's like we
Mhm.
all have a fire burning inside of us, but some of us, we drop water on it, and the fire's still there, but we just keep dropping water because we're not really living our true life. We're not doing what we're supposed to do. So when I took that step of faith and asked, it's just a question. Like my mom always taught me, either you'll get a yes or no, or maybe. No one's going to beat you. No one's going to hurt you. It's just a question. And I feel like a lot of people don't even take the step to ask a question. Like you could be one question away from creating a new business for yourself or scaling your
Absolutely.
business. So,
Absolutely. I actually did something similar myself too, where you just kind of you reach out and ask, and so many people don't realize that. And I just wanted to say hi too. Sorry to Lorraine. Yes, she said the VAs are growing very fast, and it is so crazy. And the thing is you never would have known that. Like you said, you were doing it before it was even a thing. But yeah, I did something similar. I had made the leap into entrepreneurship, or in this whole digital lifestyle, and I failed, and I ended up having to go back into a 9 to 5. But I was laid off unexpectedly, and just at that point kind of realized, like, okay, I can either kind of try to go back in, which I didn't necessarily want to do, or just
mhm,
make the choice to make it work. And you reach out and you just ask somebody in your network, like, hey, can you help me with this? And
mhm,
I ended up getting consulting clients out of it, and I haven't had to go work for anyone else since then. But you don't know if
wow,
you don't ask, and if you allow yourself to just stay in those limiting beliefs of, I can't do this, or I'm scared, or
mhm,
nobody wants my help, or whatever it may be. You're never
mhm.
going to know if you don't ask the question. Like you said, you don't know the answer. It might be yes, but if you don't ask, it's always going to be no.
Exactly. Yes. And I have a motto I always say on an unprofessional side, which is shoot your shot. Like you just have to shoot your shot and try, just like basketball players. They shoot and they don't know if they're gonna make it. I think
Yeah,
it's like a quote or a phrase about Michael Jordan, like he shot X number of shots but only made this amount. And they had asked, like, well, why do you shoot so many? And he's like, because I know I'm gonna make some. So it's like
yeah.
just go. Just
Yeah, which
just go.
since you brought up Michael Jordan, I am just going to bring up the example for our audience too, like, because he's a great one. He was actually cut, I don't know if you knew this, from his high school basketball team.
Oh, wow.
And for those who don't know who Michael Jordan is, he's like one of like the most well-known basketball players in the NBA, like
Mhm.
ever.
Ever.
So just yeah, ever. Like, so he's a gazillionaire, so you don't know if you don't try. And yeah, so you
Wow.
just keep shooting your shot. I love that.
Yes.
Love that. Love that. But yeah, I had to interject that little
No, that's
tidbit
good.
about Michael Jordan, because he's definitely like one of my go-to examples when people think, I can't do this. You know, just looking at some of those big notable figures that
Mhm.
we think, they've always had this success. They've always been famous, or
Mhm.
they've always had money, but they haven't. Oprah's
Mhm.
another one, honestly. I think she was fired from her dream job. And again, one of the richest people in the world now, and
Mhm.
most successful. So
I
it's
mean, even yourself, like sometimes we get put in situations so that we can throw gasoline on that fire that's in us. If you would have never got laid off, you wouldn't have came back. You might have years down the road when you
yep.
probably got fed up with your 9 to 5,
Mhm.
but you wouldn't have, and then you wouldn't have all of this success. You wouldn't have team members that you are employing,
Yep,
like
exactly.
it's amazing.
The world really is just, it's an amazing place. And learning to live outside those limits of our comfort zone and
Mhm.
open our minds up to what's really possible is huge.
Mhm.
So I know, one of the things I want to talk about a little bit more in detail, because we're talking about overcoming these limiting beliefs. And for us, who have done it, it's probably easy for us to sit here and say, just do it, just go overcome your limiting beliefs. But so for those people who aren't necessarily to that point yet, in your experience, what advice would you give to them that would help those people that are feeling that way right now?
So I'm a planner. So I would definitely say make a plan, like make an actual action plan and really just review it, right? Like I never tell anybody drop everything that you're doing and go try something new. Like you can start small. If you are working that 9 to 5, but you have this burning desire to start a business, you can start it. You can do it when you get off. You can do it on the weekends, and always say depending on how bad you want it will determine what you're willing to put out or to put into it.
I get
Like
it.
everything in this world requires hard work. Like I don't care what you do, it's all hard work. So it's up to you if you want to put your hard work into something that you really enjoy, that you're really passionate about,
Mm-hmm.
or you can just keep doing what you're doing. And I always tell people, when you're like 60 or 70 and you click play on like your life movie, right? Like we watch a Notebook and Dear John and all of those good movies. Imagine it's your life movie. You're on Netflix. You hit play and you watch it from the time you were born till you went through your 20s, 30s, and all of that. And you look back, what do you want to say to yourself or whoever's watching with you? Do you want to smile and say, whoa, that was a little risky, but I tried it. It didn't work
Mm-hmm.
the first time, but I tried again and it worked. Or maybe it didn't work the first or second time, I tried again and it worked. Or maybe I tried something and it just didn't work at all. And that's just because it wasn't your destiny. That just wasn't for you. You may have thought it was for you. Or you can watch that movie and you're sitting there like, oh man, like when you watch a movie and you see the actor or actress and you're like, do this, do that, no, run behind there, like the killer's coming. Like that's how you're gonna sit and
Yeah.
watch a movie because you're like, oh, you should have talked to that person. You were in the elevator with that person. You should have asked about
Yeah.
this, or you
I love that
commented on
analogy.
somebody's post and you should have wrote them a private message, but you didn't, So it's like always say that story to people. And that's really what kind of gets them thinking like, oh, and another thing, it's never too late. Like it doesn't matter. It's never too late or too early. Like I tell my 6-year-old, you want to start a business, let's do it. Your dad and I are here for you to watch you thrive and we will
I
help
love
you.
that.
Even if
Love
my
that.
mom were to come to me and say, oh, I want to start something. Okay, let's create a plan. That's step one. Get your plan. And I'm not saying a business plan, but I'm talking like write out how you want your life to go. Like what type of life do you want to live? And reread it. Because when you go back, it's going to do something to you mentally where when things start to come up, you're going to want to take action. So
Absolutely.
those are just some
Absolutely.
tips.
Yeah, those are great. And I'm going to say hi because we got a few people here that have popped in. So hello, Donna. She's smiling. So obviously, definitely something you said triggered. Hi, Mahendra, for tuning in. So yeah, that's I just love that story and that whole analogy because that's such an interesting way to look at it. Looking back at your life as though it was a movie. What movie do you want to be watching? When you look back at your life. Do you want the scary movie? Do you want the happy ending? Do you want it's just we don't think like that. We don't think, oh, what do we want for our life? What do we want to look back for? What legacy do we want to leave to our
Mhm.
kids? But we kind of have to think that way instead of just being in this moment of this is how I feel right now, and I'm scared. But everything, life is scary, and
It
the more you
is.
challenge yourself, the more you're going to see what you're truly capable of too.
Mhm. I love that, and I love what you talk about when you say life is scary because I wish I'm gonna start getting these quotes right, but I can't remember who says it. But someone says it's either a quote or a phrase, but do it afraid, or it might be a book. But when you do things when you are
Mhm.
afraid, like I don't know scientifically what it does to you, but I know it
Mhm.
does something,
Yeah.
and it builds up courage and confidence in you when you take
Mhm.
that, even if it's a small step, right? If you're like, I'm going to start this business, I'm afraid, but I'm filing for my LLC today. When you do that, everything else starts to kind of just fall into play, like everything
Absolutely.
just starts to work out slowly. And then the more action steps you take, the closer you get to whatever it is that you want. It may not be, a business. It may be you want to take a nice vacation, but you've never taken one before. Start to plan, write out how much is the
Right.
vacation? How long do you want to go? Where do you want to go? Like our brains need that. Like we need that, stimulation where it's like, oh, you have a plan? I'm going to help
Mhm.
you get there. So,
Yeah. And on that note, I know one of the other things that you mentioned in terms of getting there, is making that plan. But how do we set ourselves up for success when creating those goals, right? And saying, okay, now I'm making that plan, but how do I actually go out and make it happen?
right.
And having that goal success. I know this is something I'm very passionate about, and I believe you are as well. So let's maybe just kind of focus in on that if we can. And okay, now you need to make the plan. How do you actually follow through with the plan?
So, I'm big on accountability partners. I feel
Mhm.
like when you share what you're doing with someone, and let me say this, you can't share everything with everyone because if you share with the wrong person, they may end up talking you out of it and you might be worse off before you start it. So make sure it's
Mhm.
the right person
Absolutely.
that you share with. Luckily for me, is my husband. Like if I come to him with a crazy idea, he's like, okay, just do it. If you want to try it, do it. But find somebody, even if it's a coach like you may
Mhm.
need to get a coach, someone that believes in you as a person and what you
Right.
can do. And then from there, you have that person who's in your ear and you give them a date, like put it on a calendar. On this date, I'm going to take action. You tell that accountability partner and make sure it's the right person.
Absolutely.
Please tell that person, put it in your phone. It does something when we put stuff on the calendar. When it's there, you
It
go
makes
ahead
it
and you take
real.
that first step.
Yeah.
And don't
And
look at, it's another quote. Don't look at the whole staircase. Just look at that one step. That's why I always say do the plan, right? Even if you want to
mhm.
write your plan on different sheets of the notebook, like different sheets of paper,
That's a great
so you can
idea.
only see one step, do that. Because some people get overwhelmed with seeing, oh my gosh, I got to take 10 steps just to get there. I don't even want to take the first one. Just write it on separate sheets of paper. Step one, schedule a meeting with someone to talk about your idea.
Mhm.
Boom, you do that. And then once you start checking those things off, again, it does something to us mentally where it makes you want to keep
Absolutely.
going. But definitely get someone that will hold you accountable and someone that you trust and that believes in you. And it might be a coach. You may have to invest in a coach to really
Mhm.
help you take your life to the next level.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, that's honestly when my life changed. Like I when I got my first coach, it
Mhm.
was just, having that person that, like you said, believes in you unconditionally, and they're there to support you and hold you accountable. Like that's the
Mhm.
biggest thing, because you can say, oh yeah, I'm going to go out and I'm going to launch this business, or I'm going to go out and I'm going to reach out to this person. And then the date comes and you're like, I don't really
Yeah,
feel like it. And if
yeah.
it's not the right person, if it's, your friend, and yeah, they might be your best friend or your mom, but having somebody that really truly understands and like unconditionally supports you and wants to see
Mhm.
that success versus is afraid. Like you go tell your mom and they're just kind of like, I don't want to see her fail, right? So
Mhm.
like
Mhm.
while we love our moms, sometimes they can hold us back because of that. They're trying to keep us safe in their mind, but in our mind, it's just kind of like, but I need somebody that actually believes in me and supports me. And it's really hard to succumb to the pressure of those people that maybe don't see things the same way as us. So that is so, so important. And I'm glad you said that, because if you have the wrong person, you can definitely tell.
Yes.
And thank you, Donna. I don't know if you were talking about myself or Tyreen, but either way, we thank you. She's amazing.
Yes.
I love that. No, yeah, I lost my spot. I think it was Mahendra said, it's never too late to start anything, and it isn't. It does not matter. You could be 16, you could be 30, you could be 60. I actually had a client who was 60 years old who came to me and said, I want to live the laptop lifestyle. I want to be a digital nomad. And you know what? He did it. He is out there doing it right now, living the RV life, and it doesn't matter how old you are.
Love that.
Anytime in your life, you can do it.
Love that.
And Randy, if you're watching, very proud of you. Well, thank you. Both of us are amazing.
Thank you.
Love that. So, you guys, this is gold, by the way. So for whether you're watching live or if you are watching a replay, of course, let us know as well, because this advice is priceless. And this is coming from, someone, and actually two of us, who have lived there. We've lived through this, and we know what it's like to have those limiting beliefs and feel like you can't do something. But we also can tell you what it's like on the other side. And it may seem right now that these things are unrealistic or like you can't accomplish something, but with the right tools, the right processes, and the right people to help you along the way, literally anything that you want is possible.
Mm-hmm.
So any other tidbits of wisdom that you want to share with us?
So one thing I did want to say, I heard come up for me when I said, like, maybe you should get a coach. Some people are probably like, well, I didn't even start my business yet. I can't afford one. So I know there are a lot of online resources where you can get a free mentor. Mentors are awesome too. They work in a different way than coaches, but just to have somebody in your corner is awesome. So like if you are wanting to start something or whatever the case may be, try to find a mentor in that area. And then once again, shoot your shot. If it's someone at your company or someone that you see on LinkedIn, send them a message. Hey, just asking, any chance you would be willing to be my mentor? Maybe can you just dedicate an hour a month to me where we can chat? Because I'm really trying to do this, and this, and I would love some support. Most people aren't going to say no. Some may say, I'm a little too busy. Then you go on to the next person. But yes, so if you can't, financially get a coach now, then at least start with a mentor and start working your way to create that plan to take action.
Yeah. And like right there, what you just said, it's about taking action, because as long as you continue to take the actions, you're going to get there eventually, and that you get the support you need. And, I really like that suggestion, around mentorship, because, well, I know that everybody would like, that support, and you may just not be in a financial position. Now, I know some coaches will say, well, you'll find the money if you want it. And I am a big believer, like if you want to find money, you can, but it might not come overnight. If you say, I want to hire a coach and you're unemployed, yeah, you might not be able to do that tomorrow. You might be able to do it in a few months and make a plan to get there. But in the meantime, don't let that stop you. Still go out and find that mentor and keep taking those actions. And for those of you that are holding yourselves back and that are already doing, you already have the business. I also want to put out there that getting help in your business, a little plug back to you here, Tyreen, in the VA, is because getting a VA for me was life-changing. And I now have, I said, we had this conversation before, I think 3 or 4 VAs on my team, 3 VAs, one has graduated up to an OBM, and they were life-changing for me. It was life-changing in terms of allowing me to move forward. And it took overcoming limiting beliefs for myself to be able to even believe that I could afford to hire one, because it was, earlier on in my business and my income wasn't consistent, and I was just hitting, a number where I felt really secure in my business and I was afraid to give it up. But at the same time, if I would not have hired that VA, I would not be where I am. That was one person and it was just me. And now that was literally like a year and a half ago. And now I have a team of 9 people. So,
Wow.
if you don't take that leap somewhere in your life, you're holding yourself back. So even if you've already started the business, you still may have those limiting beliefs. That's when you go talk to Tyreen.
Yes, please come on over.
So awesome. I love that. So let's let everybody know how they can keep up with you, right? So I know you
Yes.
said LinkedIn is probably your best place to stay connected, right?
Yes, yes. I'm loving on LinkedIn right now. I am on Instagram and Facebook, but not active. So please follow me and connect with me on LinkedIn. I would love to chat with you.
Love it. So it's up on the screen for those that are watching. And if for whatever reason you have trouble with that, just let me know, and I'm happy to make that connection for you. This has been such a great conversation. I love talking about this, if you can't tell. So
Me too.
yeah, thank you so much. And any final words of wisdom as we close out here that you want to share with anybody?
Final words would be do what you can with where you are right now. Take some action steps and just start moving, and you'll see things start to fall all in the right places.
Love it. Love it. Thank you so much. And everybody, again, if you are really ready to take that next step into your business, if you are ready to hire a coach or you're just not sure and you want to have a conversation, reach out, to me or anybody on my team. We're happy to talk to you about what that experience might look like. And we're looking forward to helping you. You can book a call, like I said, by just sending a message to myself or anyone on the team. And let's make this year the year that you start living your dreams and leave that 9-to-5 life in the rear view to make those dreams your reality, everyone. Thank you so much for being here, Tyreen. This has been wonderful. And thank you, everybody. We will talk to you next week.